It's like a metaphor, you know. Everything's a joke.
Yeah, man.
Don't take it seriously. It's a comedy.
Like wrestling, you know.
Wait, wrestling's
Wrestling
real?
is not a joke.
Still real to me, man.
Hey, brother.
It's still real to me.
It's actually realer than you think. That's what I know.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
Very real.
we'll get to that later. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the cave. It's your boy Joe Reezy, and I'm here with the caveman. I got ASM, Proper, and Feel to Burn. And before we introduce our guests, make sure you guys check out our sponsor, SafeLightCandle.com. If you need lighting for your work, space, home, or studio, why aren't you getting it at SafeLightCandle.com? That wasn't rhetorical. I'm expecting answers.
Oh,
Oh, never mind.
curveball.
I'm over it. Also, check us out at cave.com, where you can access our Patreon page, where we have more exclusive content, access to our Discord community, and many more. That's K4V3.com. Nico, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well. Nice to be back.
When were you last on? A long, like a
Oh,
year?
gosh.
They were
It
doing
must-
construction on your house last time. I
Yeah.
they're doing construction.
Yeah. It must have been earlier this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, my wife and I enjoy the coffee. You got married recently. Congratulations.
I did.
Congratulations.
September 15th.
Congrats.
Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah?
yeah. Yeah. So it's been great. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Mm,
So
congrats.
it's probably the biggest change in my life. I don't know if there can be a bigger change in life than that. So
Unless you get
Have
a
a
sex
kid.
change.
Damn. Now you challenge me to think about like what changes could be bigger. I think finding out the Earth is flat is pretty huge. So if that happened, you know,
Becoming pretty big too.
Tunnels
that'd
in
be
New
pretty.
York. Damn.
Yeah, everything's fake. That'd be pretty huge too. A kid would be pretty huge.
kid's pretty big. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
Mhm. Yeah, man. I was married September 22nd. 22nd night of September. That's how I remember it. Do you remember 22nd night of September?
Almost works.
Yeah, almost works. No, I told my wife I actually didn't believe in marriage, so I told her she's fucking lucky, dog.
Here you are.
It's like the smoothest pickup line ever.
Yeah, I told her that at the altar, bro. I was like, man, I didn't want to do this shit, but lucky, dog.
Because marriage is fake and gay.
See,
And now legal. Whatever.
is it? I don't think it's fake. I don't think marriage is fake. I think, like, I don't know. You guys are all family men. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're full as a man unless you find a partner. All right.
Yeah.
Because
But I think. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I just think this whole marriage thing in America, like, have you seen like America's the most expensive place to get married, and you go to Europe or other countries, it's cheap. It's just what I don't like here is that it's glorified as like this big ass party where you got to spend so much money on it, you know. But granted, you can get those courtroom or whatever, you know, kind of weddings, but
Mhm.
it's just weird how America is like the only place where it's the most expensive, and wedding planners make a shit ton of money out here.
Yeah. It's
the wedding industry, man.
An
Oh,
industry
yeah.
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You can make a lot of money in the wedding.
They make a
Yo.
movie about it with J-Lo, fucking wedding planner.
The movie.
My best friend's
The
wedding.
movie.
I mean, I think if you're a wedding planner, the best place to work is SoCal. Like if you're
Or
not
New York, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen the weddings in New York? Like, it's like a lot of people like getting married in New York. I don't know, like a lot of destination weddings. At least I've seen from my friends over the past year. A lot of New York shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. When I started wedding planning, I was like, first of all, I don't want to have it at church because that shit's gay. Second of all, like
Comedy.
first of all, I don't want random people that I wouldn't even fucking seek advice for if shit was going down in my relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it was more so I was planning from a perspective of I wasn't even going to do this in the first place. So like, let's do this my way. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, that's for me personally. Andrew had a pretty lit wedding. Andrew got married at the fucking house from Hangover 3, dog.
Yeah.
man.
Word.
Jennifer planned all that stuff, man. I just had to show up.
Thanks for having me and Jerome be a part of that. That was,
for
that was
sure.
cool,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Thank you for being part of the party.
Dude, I went to fucking go down this hallway and like smoke a little bit of weed, and then I went through this door, and then I went to this room,
Mhm.
and Mr. fucking Lee was there, bro. He's like from fucking Hangover. No.
Toodaloo, gay boys.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
but
like-
that was lit.
hmm
How was your wedding like, Nico?
Oh,
How
it
did
was
you guys go about planning that?
same situation. My now wife planned most of it. I mean, I feel like
Yep.
I don't know if it's like the guys generally don't have as specific of a picture in their head of what it has to be.
Oh,
You know, like I feel like for women, it's more of their sort of day.
it was there.
The sense that I get with weddings is it's like for sure there's like a level of industry around it, and it can
Mhm.
feel like an arbitrary thing. But then it's like
For sure.
there's a reason why an industry is built around it, I guess, because there's a desire for it. So like
Mhm.
the music industry or social media marketing, their industries, doesn't mean that it's fake. It just means that all people's desires are for that thing, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, oh, you want this thing? We're going to build like a financial gateway around it so we can make money off of you.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. So luckily, my wife was pretty smart about it. Yeah, Drill. The thing with the wedding guest is a serious thing because it's like, okay, well, who do you invite? It's like
Yes.
it's only getting more expensive,
Uh-huh.
and you're like related to everybody if you look deep enough. You know. So it's
Well,
like
also you're Filipino, so you're related
Exactly.
to everybody.
Yeah.
And Uncle
Exactly.
We're all related.
But luckily, I was really happy with how mine went. I was really happy with how mine went, actually. So
Nice. Yeah, like you said, guys don't really have an idea. We'll get married wherever if
Yeah.
that's what it has to be, you know? Like,
In a cardboard
Yeah.
box.
yeah,
Right.
we'll do it here. But like you said, it's the woman's, it's the
Yeah.
wife's day. So,
it really is. It really is. There's
But
there's
then-
some pageantry to it. Yeah.
but then I imagine you see the bill, you're like, wait, hold on. That's when the man steps in. Hold on.
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, literally. How's your wedding, Zach?
Man, so planning wise, same thing. Like everything got planned when I was in boot camp. My wife took care of that all. And we had it at her grandmother's house, which is at the end of one of the golf courses here where we live, which is kind of nice. And we fit quite a few people there. Jermaine, you were there.
Yeah.
We fit a lot of people in there. I was surprised at how well it turned out, but we definitely tried to save as much money as possible and not put so much into that because we both understood that. Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
almost
back here, fit a
arbitrary
lot of
thing.
people.
but that backyard did fit a lot of people in it. But yeah, that's not something that I've like dreamt about as a little boy. Like, oh my god, my wedding day. You know? So for me, it's just.
Uh-huh.
I mean, my first exposure to a wedding was, to take it back to wrestling, was Triple H and Stephanie. And he drugged her in the drive-thru in Vegas, dude. So like I was like, oh, it's as simple as that. Like we could just go and like we're ordering a Frosty or something.
If only. Yeah.
You could
Yeah,
talk
right.
for her.
Yeah, right. You could,
He said I do.
oh, God. So, yeah.
Yeah, can we hurry up to that?
But it was
Oh,
pretty
no.
nice. It was a
Damn.
good day. Our best pictures were there.
Yeah. Great wedding. It was fun.
Yeah. You know what's interesting though, because I did a travel wedding or a destination wedding.
Mhm.
And so we skipped out on the traditional like flower girls, you know what I mean?
Mm.
Ring bearers and all that. But on the way there, we were like researching the meaning to all that. Do you know the meaning to all the
God.
fucking traditions and stuff for the weddings?
Now what kind of
No.
dark?
First of all, what did you guys do? Did you guys do any of those rituals or traditions at the weddings?
You guys had that, no?
What did we do? We did the garter. Took the garter
Okay.
off, did the bouquet toss.
That means something. That means something, bro.
That means I got to
I'm scared.
touch the inside of her thigh in front of her dad, which was hilarious. It was kind of awkward, but it's funny.
Here, let me read it. 13 popular wedding traditions. This is just a regular quote article. This isn't like an article I pulled out from like the deep depths of my research. Number 1, something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue. This wedding saying is derived from an old English rhyme, which lists is the 4 good luck objects a bride should have on her wedding day. Something old represents couples' past lives, while something new symbolizes their happy future. Something borrowed typically means incorporating an item belonging to someone who is happily married and hope that some of their good fortune rubs off. And the color blue represents fidelity and love, thus the something blue. We didn't do any of that. I don't know if you guys did.
I've actually never heard that saying before.
Yeah, neither have I.
I gotta ask my wife. Just double check. I wasn't super into. I just literally showed up. So, but I've heard that before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
All right, let me read stuff that we do know. Here, carrying a bridal bouquet. These days, brides are carrying peonies and roses down the aisle. But back in ancient Greece and Rome, it was all about herbs. During that time, it was in vogue to hold aromatic bouquets of garlic, dill, and other herbs and spices to ward off evil spirits. Thankfully, we've graduated from pungent herbs bouquets to lush floral ones, often comprised of the bride's favorite bloom, carrying a favorite flower. But yeah, it originated from like warding them off.
I'm carrying the 11 herbs and spices just so.
So bro, so that one's kind of weird, right? Now let's keep going down the rabbit hole. Bridesmaids in matching bridesmaid dresses. Identical bridesmaid dresses may be a little passé these days, but in Roman times, matching outfits meant good luck and were a common wedding tradition. Back then, people believed evil spirits would attend the wedding and attempt to curse the bride and groom. To confuse the spirits, bridesmaids acted as decoys and dressed identically to the bride. The idea was that the spirits would be unsure which was the bride, which would lead them to leave her alone and allow the couple to wed.
This is the info we're looking for.
Imagine using that as an excuse to get a divorce. Like, no, a bad spirit came in. She's not the same person.
I told you
It was not full.
Blue.
Yeah, that demon was
She
not full
didn't
of my money.
listen, and now she's possessed. Filing a divorce like that.
It's pretty interesting, but I don't know. I feel like that changed now. I feel like the bride only wears white, right? And the bridesmaid wear a different color now.
Yeah, now I think it's kind of seen as disrespectful if someone else wears white, right?
But now if you think about
Isn't
it, the
that-
reason that we did this is to hide the bride. Now we're almost offering the bride if we're doing this for protective reasoning. I'm just saying, am I not right or what?
Be some dumb spirits. Are you the bride? Are you the bride?
I know. Look at the finger, bro. That'll be $10 though.
Up at the altar, and the spirit's like, "Where's the bride?"
All right, let's see. Yeah, I think there were more like other spiritual ones, but you guys know about the ring finger being close to the heart or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Or like it connects to your heart line or something like that.
Yeah, some shit. But crazy. I do think it's a psyop for guys not to get married, though. I feel like it is a spiritual warfare, and that's what this wedding thing and ritual meanings, I feel like, alludes to. And obviously, like I said, we're going to go down the rabbit hole in the Bible. It does mention in there too, right? That to be whole or to be complete, you got to make what's the term called? Covenant.
Yeah.
Have covenant with your wife, or make covenant with your wife.
Some sensual covenants.
Yeah. So,
Sensual covenants.
interesting stuff, man. Interesting stuff. But yeah, you know what's funny about being married, and we talked about this at work, was so when are you guys gonna have kids? Oh, we're trying. Or when your parents ask you that, it's like,
Oh yeah.
Like, read between the lines. What kind of conversation are we having? Are you guys fucking or what? Yeah, we are.
And how?
I tried last night. I was trying standing up. Trying on.
So awkward.
It's kind of weird, yeah. You know, whenever someone asks you, "Oh, you guys," is like, instead of saying "I'm trying," it's like, "Yeah, we fucking right now." We'll see.
Yeah.
We've been trying.
Like, nah.
We try every day.
We go against the grain. We did all our fucking before we got married.
This is hardcore trying.
We should be trying. Maybe I should try taking off this condom next time, but
Oh yeah, doing it without a condom. Oh,
scary.
Works every time.
Yeah. Well, what else has been you with you, Nico, besides getting married? How's the music venture going?
Oh yeah, well it's going good. I feel like, I mean, honestly, it's more of the same. Christmas and summertime are the two busiest seasons for most musicians. I feel like it's because, you know, during the school semester, everyone is busy doing other things, and then like Christmas and summer, it's like, you know, concerts in the park, whatever, things like that. And then for Christmas, it's like suddenly all of the music that people are listening to are suddenly jazz, right? Like you listen to Christmas music and it's all like jazz chord progressions. The songwriting is very jazz oriented. So suddenly we become relevant again in the wider world, because everyone wants to hear the Christmas music and everyone wants to hear it live. And the only people that can play it live well are mostly jazz musicians. So I had a really busy gigging season, which was great. So besides that, I mean, more of the same. Teaching, gigging, more of the same, you know?
Yeah.
Not complaining.
That's good. Consistency and constants are always good.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say it really helps to have a wife that's a photographer, because now, like, I show up to a gig and I have like a photographer just sitting there, because she's kind of she does do professional stuff, but she kind of enjoys just the casually doing it for fun more so. So, you know, I'm a non-judgmental person that she can just take pictures of all the time. And so now my social media is like, wow, all my pixel count must have like tripled or something, you know? So it's been nice having her around for that too. Yeah, it's been good. This year, trying to prioritize my own group more than playing for other people, even though, you know, playing for other people's fun. So that would be my maybe New Year's resolution, you know?
your own group, like your own band or what?
Right.
What? What are they called?
Oh, so we call ourselves Nico and Company, and so the joke is that so my last name is Ko and my first name is Nico, so it's like Nico and Ko. So yeah. So yeah, so hoping to record an EP this year maybe. So we'll see how that goes.
So an EP, is that what makes, is that like 4 tracks? What makes an EP?
Yeah, I think the word is extended play. Basically, it's not as long as an album. It's like 5 or 6 tunes, something like that, in that range. I feel like albums usually in the range of 8 to 10 maybe, and above. So yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is most people don't listen to albums from beginning to end anyhow. You know what I'm saying?
They're over.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting, because when I started really listening to albums from beginning to last track, it was when I worked with you, Zach, and I would borrow your CDs. It's different, bro. Like, I feel like you get what the artists really try to convey in the project. You know what I mean? Granted that not all albums are conceptual albums, you know what I mean? But it's just a little more. I feel like it's how the artist intended it for you to hear. It's like a sonic journey, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
right.
I personally never realized that until I listened to Lupe Fiasco, and I feel like his early albums were like it was like a story. Like he was telling you when he was like guiding you on a musical journey from intro to outro. And after listening to him and hearing, his stuff for the first time, it made me go back and listen to other albums I've listened to in the past, but like I would only skip to the songs that I liked. So like that really gave me an appreciation of going from, track 1 to track 18, for example, and just vibing and just letting it play, like not even skipping, just let it play, even the skits, all that, like just because that like they're putting that time and effort into creating that for us, so we gotta at least respect it and try to listen to it a few times from front to back.
Yeah, the really interesting thing to me with albums is that if we think about the album experience, it's kind of born out of a limitation, because to a degree, like before, like you wouldn't just print one song on a vinyl record, you'd have to print, multiple would fit. Right. And so I feel like the album experience in a sense was born out of a limitation, because nowadays, like we can still listen to albums all the way through, but it's just that we don't have to. Right. And
that's a good point. Yeah.
And I also feel like even if the album is not like a concept, like from beginning to end sort of thing, one thing I find is you can't listen to an hour of someone's, I don't know, I guess how long, 4 tunes times, almost an hour, like your average album, right? You can't listen to an hour of somebody's music without kind of getting in their head a little bit, right? Like you listen to one song and it's like, okay, maybe they wrote this melody for TikTok. Who knows if this represents them at all? But you listen to an hour of someone's music, even if there's not a story through the album, and you kind of know their story. Even for like instrumental musicians, one big way we study is you have to immerse yourself in a person. Like you really try to get into how they think, and you really try to see like, oh, are there like notes or phrases or like things this guy likes to do when he songwrites, like a trend in all of his stuff, right? And I imagine if you guys have listened to albums, you've noticed that sort of thing as well,
Shout out to everyone who heard Slim Shady and fucking all the Tyler the Creator's old Odd Future shit. You got even DMX's old stuff. I like to always talk about DMX when it comes to rap.
It was like gospel. DMX, that shit was like gospel, really.
Not Hell and Dark is Hot or whatever. The one with
Hell is
Damien
Hot,
and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
Let's pray. But no, there's a difference too, because like now it's to make an album or to make a song. Usually, if you don't have any experience in the game, the studios are trying to kind of milk you. You know what I mean? Or the engineers are trying to kind of milk you. You know what I mean?
I mean, the big thing I hear about nowadays is that for a label to sign you, it's really all about follower count. And the way that you kind of know this is like those influencers that randomly go viral, they suddenly become pop stars somehow, right? Like you see them start releasing, like I'll follow certain creators that were all about memes and kind of making funny content, and then like 5 months later, it's like, oh, they're a music artist. Because I think really it's about building the pre-existing follower count, I think, is how the labels pick people nowadays. Because like to a degree, talent with the technology we have now and ghost writing and hiring people, and I think you can make a pretty good track without talent. I mean, now, of course, there's a talented producer involved, but I'm saying the star doesn't necessarily need to, they just need to be attractive or popular. Right?
Nowadays,
it's more like it's almost like how should I say?
A plant.
It's like the pop star is a figurehead for the producer almost, I feel sometimes. Or something like that.
Imagine writing your album using fucking Chat GPT.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's another element that's only been a recent thing, right? Yeah. So even more in that direction, right?
ChatGPT would have helped out a lot of rappers who didn't have freestyles at the time. They would have just been like, Got this, dog. Yo, I'm gonna kill y'all.
Off of my phone.
It starts writing shit you don't align. It's like, I'm gay. Well, no.
Hey, wait,
I didn't write that. Then who did? No. Autocorrect.
Autocorrect.
Fucking
I meant
words
to put
you
I'm a
can't
G.
pronounce.
I'm a
Words you
G.
can't pronounce.
I'm a gay.
No, yeah, I do agree. I think now it's like music is less about uniqueness and it's more about what works, to the point where they just trying to kind of replicate a formula that does work, to the point where now the talent is gone because we've replicated the product. Now we just need to package it with a celebrity or an archetype that people can relate to. You know what I mean?
The unexpected analog to this is voice actors. Like, you know, voice acting for animation used to be like a huge thing. It still is, but now it's like Chris Pratt as Mario. And it's not based on like who can best act Mario, but it's really like who's the biggest celebrity that will pretend to be. Well, he did a decent job, but
granted, the same can be said about Jack Black, but I think Jack Black is made for this. You know what I'm saying? Correct. The guy, there's like clips of him. The clip of him like singing War Pigs on like a late night show, and it's like for the first 5 seconds he's like killing it, and then he like remembers he has to be funny, and then he starts goofing off for the rest of it. But I went, man, if he just kept going seriously, like it would have been an amazing. But yeah, going back, I feel like voice actors, maybe it's a similar thing, right? Used to people would specialize in voice acting, and now it's get the biggest celebrity to do it.
Yeah, and there's no movie voice guy now anymore. Whenever you watch trailers back, there's always the movie guy with the voice and everything.
Yeah.
You're talking about what's coming out next year.
yes.
Near you, that guy.
In the cave, sports fake and gay. Whoa. Explosions, just.
You guys need to get one of those for your. You guys need to get one of those.
See, the thing is, I would say that is even like that can be replaced by AI now.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys know about like AI's capabilities of vocalizing, singing and stuff. But Paranoid American, I know you guys have met him. He makes music with just full on AI, and shit's pretty fucking funny and pretty spot on. Like the songs are catchy. Obviously you could change the kind of delivery, mumble rap, R&B style, you know what I mean? And it's pretty on point. Like if I know you guys have heard also about these AI influencers that look real, but there's actually no person behind the accounts, you know what I mean?
Oh, they be getting me sometimes like, damn, she got some big AI.
That's that shit on X, right? Like those spam accounts that just pop up.
Yeah.
Right.
We're not buying the OnlyFans, AI OnlyFans. Jesus,
we're not buying the AI OnlyFans.
We're not.
So I don't know. I feel like I said on the previous podcast we did prior to this, I think what's gonna set us apart now from AI, because we're getting to the point where a supercomputer that's primarily built to learn and adapt, like you can't beat that with us. You know what I mean? Like learning to adapt, I feel like is a byproduct of like our existence. You know what I mean? Possibly.
Yeah. And you can kind of look at history when this happened too. Like I feel like several hundred years ago, calligrapher was a really hot job because there was no other way you could get something prettily written. And then good old, printing press typewriter came out. And calligraphers still exist, but they're either the ones that are amazing, like so good at calligraphy that like there's just an artistry that the machine can't replicate, or B, it's a hobby, right? And so I feel like go ahead.
It's interesting because they're not even teaching calligraphy anymore, I hear.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's like in a sense like skills are kind of technology because it's a way of doing things most efficiently. There's a Jacques Ellul is a guy I've been reading. Christian. He's a Christian French anarchist, which is a weird combination. But one thing that he talks about is techne, and the word techne is both the technology, but also kind of the way that we do things. So like passed down information. And if you think about it, so often what we consider physical technology will kind of render a trade obsolete after a given number of years. And people might still do the trade later, but it's not as essential to the economy, maybe. Like now everybody has Microsoft Word, you know? Like I'm not going to hire a calligrapher to write my book just because it's not practical to do so. Like I need to make edits, right?
Fonts now.
You know,
Yeah, right. Correct. Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting, and you mentioned calligraphy, and I didn't tie this into calligraphy, but it kind of is a perfect example of it. Calligraphy, no matter how you teach it, everyone's style is going to be different because it leaves room for you to free flow and however you feel while you're writing it, kind of, you know what I mean? And sometimes if correctly executed, the same paragraph shouldn't look the same if you're feeling certain things, right? Maybe your lines are a little jagged, maybe you're a little smoother depending on how you're feeling, right? What I said in the previous podcast was, I feel like now when these like super advanced learning bots just see us and try to read patterns, where we're going to stand out as far as artistic expression is going to be in our mistakes, where we mess up. Because machines are going to see that and think that that's a wrong thing. But sometimes, as you know, musicians, sometimes there's beauty in messing up, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or even like once a mistake happens, how do you kind of react to it? Or do something afterwards that makes it look like it was on purpose or something like that.
Or even hit a note that where it's like, oh shit, like I didn't even see, you know what I mean, where a step could go from this note, you know what I mean? Right. Where a computer is just like, oh, G, Y, X, you know what I mean? And just kind of trying to make chords. And like,
right.
It doesn't have that abstract creative, I feel like, freedom in order to be like, fuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's the sense of risk. Yeah, it's the sense of risk, and I think it's the sense of authenticity. Maybe those two things that an AI-generated thing maybe can't grasp like we can. It's the idea that there's a human being behind that experience that we can relate to, right?
Yeah. AI is crazy, man. Do you guys use AI? I mean, we'll get into AI in a little bit. I feel like that's a topic we need to talk about.
That's kind of the topic, I think, for the next 20 years.
There's a lot of topics, like I said, bro. I told the guys we're trying to aim for less conspiracy theories, less rabbit hole stuff, and then the fucking aliens hit Miami, and then the Jews come out of the tunnel, and then the Epstein drop. Like, what the fuck?
You gotta ease into it. It's gradual.
We have a lot to talk about. You know,
how the universe is like you try to stop something and then you get thrown with like layups, dude, like alley oops. It's like
it's like this, bro. It's like you are gonna put away all your magic stuff, and then like you're like, man, I tried so hard.
Like Magic the Gathering.
Just like magic tricks. Let's say, you know what I mean. Let's say I was trying to conjure. Let's say I was trying to open up a portal with some magic relics, right? And then it didn't happen, and I put my stuff away. And then as I'm putting my stuff away, it's like, oh shit, the portal's open.
Right.
So I'm taking my stuff back. I was like, man. So yeah, I mean, I feel like either something big is gonna happen. I know. A lot of people say, "Oh, this is biblical," you know what I mean? And something I do believe the war we're fighting and the reasons we're fighting this war are reasons that like dead kings fought for, you know what I mean? Like we're fighting dead people's wars right now, I feel like, you know what I mean? Or like people of their bloodline, you know what I mean? I feel like they're
generational.
Yeah, just to kind of keep that narrative or keep that power, if you will.
Yeah, or like sense of continuity, you know, in the case of Homeland, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
So let's get into the fucking Jewish tunnel stuff. What do you guys know about that?
I saw a video about it. I actually don't know anything about the. Was it in New York? They were building tunnels underneath a synagogue or something.
Yeah,
it was like centered in the synagogue, right? And then it like spread out from the synagogue. That's how.
But what was the purpose of it? Because I read that people were saying it was like some sort of fight club, maybe, or like trafficking. But
Jewish fight club.
Yeah,
I think it's still too early. We haven't found the why yet.
Yeah, the thing about like conspiracy theories now, and like even the Miami alien stuff, like because it's trending, you're going to see a lot of people try to capitalize and put up fake alien videos and go, "From Miami, breaking news." You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing with AI. I feel like, I mean, it's sort of a similar conversation because I think once that technology gets to a point where we can reliably, like when the average person can reliably generate images, two things are going to happen. Either two things, I feel like. Either A, the internet, unless AI somehow collapses, which people say it might actually, as it's self-referential. But the issues, I think, are A, that the internet will go completely post-truth and we won't know what the hell is real or fake, or we have to get some governing body to stamp real and fake for us, right?
But then if you do that, then you allow them to tell you what to believe is real.
Yeah, then you then
I think that's happening now.
And whoever controls that fact-checking controls the narrative, the complete narrative online. Now, this is assuming that AI.
Are we still talking about the Jews from the tunnel?
The Jews.
Sort of. I actually don't know. I don't know anything about.
It's a joke.
I actually don't know anything about the Jews from the tunnel. I don't know. Or the Miami. Okay, what's the Miami aliens thing?
Jews from the tunnel.
What's the Miami aliens thing? I don't know.
Let me start off with the Jewish tunnel. So, in the synagogue, apparently,
Spolstra got a freaking contract.
In the synagogue, there was a little vent
after the divorce.
Spolstra,
they checked out the vent and like they found a bunch of Jewish people. I don't know if they were illegal there. I don't know if this is an immigration issue. I don't know if this is a human trafficking issue. But the point is, when this happened, it was all over social media, and then it's been slowly getting scrubbed. So currently, numerous law enforcement is at the scene of a riot at the Chabad headquarters in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, where individuals tore wooden panels to prevent a cement truck from sealing off the recently discovered tunnels. Police intervened by ripping wooden panels to thwart the cement truck's actions. The underground tunnel, secretly built by a group including members of the Jewish community about 6 months ago in an attempt to expand the iconic synagogue. Were the focal point, despite police intervention, numerous people refused to vacate the tunnel. This is the video from the scene.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Look at them squeezing the synagogue. You know what happens when you synagogue?
Yeah,
it Jews.
Yo. It's wild, man.
Wait, all these guys, they're trying to get into the tunnel, or they're trying to get out?
They just got out the tunnel.
Hey,
they're all trying to. The cops are trying to process all of them.
now you stay in the tunnel.
Crazy.
Jericho's trending on the side of that. Jericho trend.
So, whether or not, because I mean, like they're saying that the alien stuff, this stuff is coming out right after the Epstein list came out. So whether it's a diversion,
the Epstein list did come out. That's right.
To go to focus on this rather than that, maybe, right? But the Miami aliens, apparently in the mall, there was a report of some juveniles that were horsing around with fireworks, like sticks. You know what I mean?
There.
To the point where they shut down the airspace over the mall, and they sent like how many cars? Like 60 or 80 cop cars. I think they unloaded the whole unit.
I heard it wasn't true about the airspace though. Like that was just a big rumor going around because even the airspace had nothing canceled.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So, but my question is like, okay, you got 8-foot aliens, and your idea is to send a fucking precinct. Where's the military? You're gonna send police?
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of fucking X-Men when they sent the cops against Magneto, and Magneto.
And you know what happened there?
That's a good comparison.
Floating shots.
Yeah, Magneto's like, oh, nice guns, bro.
Military's like, send the cops real quick. Let's see what this is about. Oh shit, it's for real.
Send all the cops.
If they can't handle it, we'll come by.
It was funny because I was watching that video, and like when it scanned, I was like, "Oh, that's not a lot of cops. These guys were just bored." And then like it went down like streets. I was like, "That's way too many cops."
Yeah, apparently it's like a bunch of kids trying
cops.
to cause a riot or whatever with their fireworks, and because I heard too that the airspace was closed down, and then I started reading like that wasn't true. The airspace was never shut down.
That is a lot of cars. What?
Yeah, for kids who are fighting with fireworks.
No, see, a part of me wonders, like, how practical is that? Because you're blocking the right.
Because I also think the response is like what, just talking about like active shooters. What if that's the response? I mean, look at that alleged video of the Miami aliens.
See, that's the shit that pisses me off, bro. That shit makes me want to put my magic stuff back in the fucking closet.
No one appreciates this shit. It's fine. Just send the closet.
Yeah,
you
so
got
I don't.
Scarf out of your mouth to blow your nose.
I agree. I think like conspiracy theorists have kind of become like a mascot. You know what I mean? They jump on these like topics and kind of cloud it more than trying to accomplish what they're setting out to do, which is raise awareness. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the TikTok conspiracy theorists. I heard making a theory out of everything.
I heard this is real footage, though.
Oh, that's real. Look at that.
Do the Macarena?
Oh, not that one. That one's fake.
This one's real. Look at that.
Totally real.
That's just the Miami Heat halftime show.
That's a fire song. I mean, any alien would dance to that. I don't blame you.
You got rid of that.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I feel like, first of all, there's this religious war going on, right, between in the Middle East, and that's biblical, right, Nico? Isn't that in the Revelation? I
mean, it depends on how you interpret Revelation, but yeah, there is some kind of war that goes on against God's people. Now, whether God's people is literal Israel or it's Christians, it's sort of people interpret it different ways, but yeah, broadly you could say that wars are going to increase. Natural disasters are going to increase. Generally, just more chaotic. So, from that line of thinking, yeah, I would say, definitely. So,
that's a good conversation. That's a good starting point for the conversation. How you interpret it, right? How are you supposed to interpret the Bible? I know we talked about Zach, and Zach and I talked about he's starting to go to church, and so he's kind of going to start hearing all these things. You know what I mean? So, if anything, we can set out a mental guideline for him to digest what's going to go on. You know what I'm saying? But how should you interpret it? Because there's that one interpretation of everything's a metaphor. And there's two where, nah, dog, we fucking found Noah's Ark. Here it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So is there different ways to interpret it? What do you think? What do you personally believe?
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of a rabbit hole. The reason is a rabbit hole, baby. And the reason why is, I think, probably the thing that makes it so hard for us nowadays to interpret the Bible. And I'll speak really broad terms, rabbi. That's our new word for the tunnels. Yeah.
Yep. I got a better one.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
This one's better, dog. Follow the white.
Nice. Nice. So the sense I get is, you might say that religion and spirituality before the 1700s, before the scientific revolution, it was truth before science existed, right?
Mhm.
And so it's very hard for us to imagine a world pre-rational thought. It's really hard to imagine a world like that. And so sometimes I think the writers of the Bible, in a sense, some of it was probably literal, and there's a lot of historical stuff in there, but there's also a lot of stuff where it's like, it's not that I think that we can't investigate certain historical landmarks or cultural traditions or whatever. I guess my point is that if a lot of the Bible was written pre-science, and I think most people would agree that science doesn't have a monopoly on truth, I think sometimes our temptation is to kind of make the Bible fit into a scientific worldview. So it's like you'll hear people try and like prove the Big Bang, prove that there's a creator, prove these things or disprove these things. But I think these older traditions, they give a lot of gray area, a lot of room for interpretation and for, frankly, like admitting things we don't know, right? Like a lot of Christians will make a really big deal about, is the earth literally as many years as the genealogy says? Or is the earth, is it metaphorical and the earth is actually bajillions of years old and each day in creation was like longer than it was? And like, I think that argument kind of misses the point because it's like, we're trying to scientifically prove the Bible at that point. You see what I'm saying? But I don't know if the Bible was written from that lens of what truth is, if that makes sense. Now, it's fuzzy, of course. Of course it's fuzzy because there are logical arguments you can make about the Bible. But all that's to say, I think we should be comfortable with some level of mystery or confusion or stuff we're not going to know, I think. You know, that's just how I see it personally. And I think what that does is it really draws focus to the central story and narrative of the Bible, which is how I tend to interpret it, right? I tend to interpret it like prophets pointing to Jesus and then everyone afterwards pointing back to Jesus. That's how I tend to see it. And you know, that metaphor versus truth thing, I think it's fuzzier than we think. And it's even hard to even talk about what that means, I think, because we're so used to this scientific way of proving or disproving things, right? I'm trying to see what other that's maybe a more wider way. The feeling I get also is that you want to look at the Bible as a collection of works within genres, right? So, for example, there's a bunch of chapters in Job where all of the chapters are like, curse God and die, you idiot. And it's like, from the angle of people, someone is talking in that moment who is kind of set up as a doubting voice. Mm-hmm. And so from that sense, I don't think everything in the Bible is divinely inspired. That's what Christians believe. But obviously not every statement in the Bible is true because there are idiot characters in the Bible, if that makes sense.
Like that one verse where I don't know if, I don't know it verbatim, but they're talking about boiling the sun and then eating them. Have you heard of that verse?
It might be like an Old Testament tradition sort of thing.
It might be, but I remember seeing that. I was like, boiling a kid and eating them. What is this? And if you have damaged genitals, don't go into a church.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So I think there's a genre thing involved when you interpret scripture too. If I think that's maybe a more practical,
maybe
a more practical way of looking at it, right?
Interesting. my first time hearing that. 2 Kings 6:29. So we boiled my son and ate him. And I said to her the next day,
Oh, there it is.
give your son, we shall eat him. And she hid her son. That's what I would do too.
Deuteronomy 23:1. That's the one about if you do something to your dingling, you're not going to heaven.
But I got circumcised. What's that mean?
I like that framework because
I didn't have a choice.
it can change. You know what I mean? Like,
Of course.
you read Genesis and you read it from a literal point of view, and you still get something out of it. And you read it from a metaphorical point of view, and you get something out of it too.
Yeah, I don't think you have to like choose one and reject the other necessarily. I think it's a lot fuzzier than that. And I think that's okay. I don't think that's denying the truth of it at all. You know, I think it's more about being honest about what we don't know about it, rather than pretending to know things about it that we don't. If that makes sense. But for me, what I do know is this book's been around for a long time. People have seemed to see a lot of wisdom in it. It seems to be corroborated from a lot of sources, and it works, I think. So, at least that's the sense that I get when I interpret the Bible. I'm in high school. I was really obsessed with this, like, prove the Bible scientifically sort of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, again, there are a lot of things that science can't prove. Like, science can't prove why humans are more valuable than the rest. Like, why should something happen? There's a lot of morality that you can't say that something should happen just based on what exists, right? Like, there's what exists and there's what we think should happen, right? And so I feel like the Bible probably is more in that realm of truth. I think.
What do you think, Andrew? You've been we grew up in the church.
Yeah. I take it metaphorically, not too literally, but it's, you know, it's like it's guidance. There's advice in there that works, and some of it might be a little outdated, at least to me. But take it with a grain of salt, you know.
But what about the one that says about incest and getting drunk with their dad is okay?
Oh, so that's way
out there.
Yeah. So that's an actual that is a story, but I think they get punished for doing that. So yeah,
they should.
I think that was yeah.
Old Testament.
Yeah. Sounds like it. Yeah.
It shows you that I kind of read just a few lines and not the whole thing. It's like, oh wait, they get punished.
You're lost after that.
Yeah, after it's like, whoa, incest, moving on.
You know what Jermaine does? Jermaine opens the Bible randomly and he lands on those verses. Like,
Get all the
what the fuck? What is this?
Exactly. That's exactly what I do when I sat in church. I never really paid attention. I'd open like, wow, that's interesting. Fucking close it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting because growing up in the church, like, initially learning all this stuff, I had imagined it like almost like the Marvel storyline right now, but it's real and it's in the spiritual world. So there, you know what I mean? Thanos is like somebody, and then there's like you know what I mean? Jesus is obviously the savior or somebody and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then it's evolved into like more metaphors, you know what I mean? Like archetypal things where if you even strip away the titles and the names, like it should still make sense. You know what I mean? Because it's like Bruce Lee said, like, don't lose sight on the moon. Don't focus on my finger and lose sight of what I'm pointing. You know what I mean? Like,
right. So there's a cool
on the message, not the messenger kind of thing.
So the verse that echoes that same phrase is where Jesus goes, "You search the scriptures thinking that in the scriptures you have eternal life, but these point to me, the person, and you're not willing to come to me, but you're focusing on the thing that points to me." So I think that's a sensible way of looking at it, I think.
I don't know if I said this on our last podcast, but this has been my personal theory of the Bible now. Okay, so the Bible obviously needed to be corroborated by a governing body, which means more than one person, right? In order to be like, all right, this is the final version of the Bible. We're all good, right? So I think a majority of that population obviously tried to make it Mickey Mouse and Disney-fied it in order to make it, you know what I mean, universally received, simple, don't ask questions. You get it? All right, go to church every Sunday. But I think there's also a minority that knew the teachings, and you know what I mean? I think in the meetings of finalizing the Bible, there were some disagreements as far as what books should not be in there. And I think the minority pushed for certain books to be in there for the people who really wanted to really seek the truth in order to be like, what the fuck? That was weird. You know what I mean? Like, I need to look into that because there's no other mention of that in the Bible other than this book. So that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? So I think it's almost like it's an Easter egg kind of book. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is, but if you know what you're looking at, almost like on some occult initiated type of thing, like if you know what you're looking at, then you'll see it. You'll see more than what the average or the casual can see. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it is a challenging book. I mean, it's like, why is the God in the Old Testament so different from the New Testament when he's supposed to be the same person? What are these things in the Bible that are so confusing and backwards that I have to follow those? Why did God allow these things to happen? So all of these like deeper, like existential crisis type questions that a lot of Christians don't like engaging with. But I do think that we kind of do have to go there because, like you're saying, if the Bible only delivers truths that you expect, then it's not really going to enlighten you, right? Like, enlightenment always has a level of what the heck did I just hear? It's so outside of my paradigm that I don't understand it. And so, I imagine that any approach to spirituality, if it comes too easy, it's not really spirituality, I don't think. Because spirituality as a whole, you're cultivating your emotions. You're saying, I'm not going to say yes to this because I think there's a better way of doing it that doesn't feel better, but I think it is better. And I think the problem with, like you're saying, the Disney version, any religion, once you consumerize it, is unable to engage with your emotions because if you think about it, in a consumer world, your emotions exist to be gratified, right?
Of course.
Spirituality, your desires exist to be cultivated and guided. So those are like two different ways of looking at it. And so I do think we lose a lot. We've lost a lot. I think, and I imagine like if we had like a rabbi from the rabbi hole, or if we had, or if we had like a Buddhist come in, he'd be like, yeah, definitely. Like once you consumerize it, you definitely lose something. So I think they would say the same thing. It's not just Christianity that has that problem, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So it's going to be confusing a little bit, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes it's made confusing for a reason. You know what I mean? Like I said, maybe that pushback of the 80% or the majority knows why the minority wants that certain book in, and they're like, fuck these guys. All right, we'll put that in, but we'll put in this book too. That kind of throws it off. You know what I'm saying?
Cool question might be to ask, like, if you feel like it's the finger and the moon, so to speak. What do you guys feel the finger is in terms of a lot of these religions, and then what do you feel the moon is?
Great question.
Right, because that's like probably the question.
I love that question. Yeah. I think the finger is obviously the messenger, right?
There we go.
And I think at the same time, the message is the moon, but the message being the moon isn't dependent on the messenger. You know what I'm saying? So technically, you don't need the person pointing to the moon in order for you to see it. And frankly, like, no matter what the messenger tells you about the moon, like the moon like no one's been on the fucking moon. You're just pointing at the moon. How are you going to tell me what the fuck the moon is? You know what I'm saying? Like whatever I come up to the conclusion with is going to be just as factual as yours because you ain't been there. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think like the moon is also a rabbit hole. So like you can have a personal journey with the moon independent of any finger pointer, if you know what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So that was my deep answer to that. It's a rabbit hole, pretty much.
Yeah, rabbit hole, just the unexplainable. That's what I would assume is the moon. Isn't just like Jarrell said, the finger. That's the messenger. That's just the pointer to what it is.
Now, don't get me wrong. Some messengers are like, if you look over there, you see the moon, and it rotates over here sometimes.
Yeah. Right.
Some people are like, it's there all the time. Okay, now I'm going to meditate here and don't fucking ask me because it's going to be there all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you can enter in any kind of archetype you want as the finger pointer. Yeah. But there are a lot of finger pointers, I think.
But I mean, the finger, like, what about the moon? What do you guys think that represents? Because I think the moon represents something, like beyond us, right?
Can't explain.
To kind of
it's
pull
its
us
own
away.
universe.
Yeah, to kind of pull us away from here, I guess, and to see that that is, I don't know how to word it, but like something that's just like a higher purpose that's than what we're doing here, I guess. I don't know. I'm just trying to
'Cause it
put
almost
shit
seems
together.
like it's something intangible. But
Yeah.
it's so captivating because it's so bright and it stands out and everybody can see it, and it kind of lights up the sky. So like when I was thinking about the finger pointer and the moon, it's also like if the moon is like the main goal that religion is trying to point everyone towards, right? Then like a lot of people get distracted with the stars too, like all the other things that are out there because they see the finger, it's like, oh, look at that, and then they get distracted by the stars, and it's like there's always little things that people can get hung up on when really like they're all bright in their own way, and they're all big or small, whatever size they are, but then it's like but we lose track of like what the main point is. And I feel like for me, like I've always been confused when it comes to religion because there's so many different finger pointers and so many different moons, but it feels like every moon is supposed to be the same. But it's just a matter of which finger pointer you want to go with and like follow, which is the difference between all the religions. Like that's kind of between like listening here and thinking to how I've always looked at religion as a whole, as a concept, like from a macro level. It's just like there's so many different versions of the main point, which is like there's a higher power, and we should always we should strive to be like that or in that image through our day-to-day actions.
Yeah, it's a deep question because at the same time, people can be like, oh, tomorrow the moon's going to be a half moon because I know this because God told me. So now you have to tithe 25% tonight, okay? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it's the hard part is a lot of people, when they kind of get that sense of distrust from a finger pointer, they stop looking altogether.
Yep.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm not saying that's not understandable because it's totally understandable. Like, won't get fooled again if I don't believe, sort of thing. But it's like, you got to admit, like, they're definitely, like, I think one of the easiest things to kind of come to terms with, not like which finger pointer, but there's definitely something. Like, I think that's a statement most people can easily get behind is there's definitely something else to it than just like either what your parents said or what society told you or what you think should be done. There's definitely something above that. And it's like, why is it that we all feel like we should be doing something right now? Like, why should? Like, You know, what's obligating us to do the right thing, or to even think about right versus a wrong thing? And you know, regardless of finger pointer, I think it's hard because you, on one hand, it's like trusting those voices sets us up for disappointment. Sometimes it sets us up for being fooled or feeling stupid. But it's, I think, if there's anything you can learn throughout history, it's that humans can't help but try, you know, to figure out what the heck it is.
Also, if someone is telling you, yo, I'm telling you right now, the moon's going to crash in an Earth next week, I don't know what to fucking tell you. And that scares you, like, I might just go to the guy that says the moon is fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
tell you what you want to hear.
Friendly. Yeah, tell me what I want to hear kind of thing too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think so much of spirituality comes down to, I mean, faith, another word for faith is trust. And it's the same question as, how do I know if this source is trustworthy? Right? It's the same sort of question, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a harder question than we might think. Right? Yeah. Because like you're saying, there's it's not just the length of the guy's finger, or it's not how straight his finger is, but it's also the character. Like, is he even trustworthy, or is he like doing the thing? Right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny because that actually is a good example of how people have free will when it comes to this plane. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone can believe the moon is just a rock, and like, you have free will to believe that. And someone has free will to be like, no, stupid, it's not a rock, it's made out of cheese.
Yeah.
And that guy has free will to believe that, and he has free will to press you.
And in a sense, yeah, you know in a sense too. Yeah, in a sense, it's like, okay, now obviously now we've been to the moon, so obviously we're kind of talking symbolically here in a sense.
Have we though?
All right. Well, my point is that's why we have moon landing conspiracies, because at the end of the day, I haven't been to the moon.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So to a degree, I think conspiracy theories kind of arise at the point where there's no way to know, and so it's like, oh yeah, that could be true. You know, there's a level of faith in what we want to believe that's in these conspiracy theories also, right? And the question that I think a lot of people feel is, why do all these religions feel like conspiracy theories, right?
Bro, religion is conspiracy theory. Like, point blank, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's a theory, and it's an unpopular fringe opinion, and obviously the establishment's like, no, don't believe that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, the very nature of it is conspiracy. Like we talked about, Jesus was a conspiracy theorist. Need that on a shirt. But what I mean by that is he welcomed open conversations about things. You know what I mean? It was, and if he had a strong belief, he put his foot down and stood for that belief. He didn't be like, "Oh, but the Roman Church said this, or CNN said this." You know what I mean? It's like, right? This is what I believe, yo. You know what I mean? Like, whether I'm human or I'm God or I'm Jesus, this is what I believe. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think the free will thing is very. I think it's one of those things that's thrown around in church and spirituality, but I think that is even just free will. That concept alone should be broken down in like a 2-month program. You know what I'm saying? It's. I mean, as far as a message goes, right? Would you agree?
Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like the funny thing is that I've been thinking a lot about this because the book that I'm working on with my pastor, it's one thing that we kind of discuss, and it's like, I think we don't give enough thought to that idea of what free will entails, because, you know, growing up, I always thought, and maybe you guys can chime in, I've always thought that the image of God and, like, you know, being made in God's image or whatever meant like, oh, we were just kind of cool or smarter than other people, right? Smarter than other human beings, but smarter than animals. I thought the image of God was that we were smarter than animals or other creation. Mm-hmm. But I had this thought the other month, which is like, we don't consider dogs to be sinful or doing wrong. Rocks don't do wrong. Like if a rock rolls down and crushes someone's car, I don't call the rock evil. It's just like the rock had to do what gravity it just did, right? But the only thing that we seem to attribute like moral wrongdoing to is things with free will, right? And so it's like the capability of free will and having my morals and, like you said, making theories and decisions is what allows us to be good, but I think it allows us to be evil as well, right? Because it's not like, how should I say?
It's powerful enough to the point where the fucking forces are like, oh shit, this guy has free will. You know what I mean? Like,
and I mean, we bend the world with that free will and that rational thinking to our, and so it's like, you know, science has been used to cure diseases. It also made the atom bomb, and so it's like, it seems to me that the weight of understanding our free will is something that not just religious or spirituality, but just like education. Like, I don't think we really wrestle with what it means to have your own agency in your decisions, you know, and the weight of that. I don't think it's, we talk about freedom, like freedom to do whatever the heck we want, but I think there's a weight to being able to do whatever you want. Right.
I think what's funny when we talk about free will is it can be compared to free speech too, right?
Yes, correct.
If I want to say,
that's true. That's right.
God is gay. I have free will to say that. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to be offended by that, you have free will to be offended by that. If I really believe that, I have free will to believe that. You know what I mean? At the same time, like if Zach wanted to be like, nah, man, this guy needs to get checked into a psycho like therapy.
Hey, man, God is great.
Hospital. He has free will to believe that. You know what I'm saying? I think that's
God is trans,
and this is the thing I believe. And this is something I've like kind of picked up recently, researching the Knights Templar. Apparently, there's a fucking lineage of them still around.
Damn.
Is that they believe in the divine spark. Right? Like if you imagine God as a flame, we're all just matches of the same flame. So when you say we're created in his image, we're like from his source. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, like we're a match from the whole campfire. You know what I mean? So with that comes like a fraction of his power. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about minuscule, like I'm talking about Ant-Man's dick, like smaller than that. You know what I'm saying?
That's small.
Yeah, we hashtagging that.
Hashtag God is gay.
Hashtag.
No, but what I'm saying
Ant-Man's
with that
baby dick
is like that also matters too. You know what I mean? Like that fact that it's from a divine spark means that, like you said, the fact that we're blessed with free will, however little that is, however much we don't appreciate that, it's almost like an infinity stone to these spiritual beings because it does affect the realms. You know what I mean? We're not. I mean, I hate to take everything back into the Matrix, but we're not programs. We're not. As much as we have patterns of behavior,
we're not algorithms.
We're not predictable. You know what I mean? Any day I could just be like, take the mask off, but that's not going to happen until the unmask on Patreon.
Oh, that's not very good.
But you get what I'm saying? Like it's interesting that if you look at it from that way, I feel like sometimes you could take that as blasphemy because you're like, oh, what do you mean you're God? There's God in you, like.
Oh,
not
I mean,
that, you fucking bigot, but like from a more positive perspective, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's like there's a really there's a quote we have in the book that goes it's a John Calvin quote, and it goes, "The knowledge of God and that of ourselves are related." And I think it's like, to a degree, whatever religion you believe in, I think the big question is, whatever that thing is, or person, or universal force, or Jesus, or whatever we came from, that's kind of how you view your human nature as well, if you really think about it, right? So if we do come from something, then whatever that something is going to dictate a lot about how I live my life, right? Whether that's the ether, or it's nature, or it's Darwinism, or it's atheism, or it's God, or whatever, right? How you view that God will kind of reflect back on how you live inevitably, I think, and how you understand that thing or force or person, right? Yeah.
Deep, man. We'll never know. We'll never know. Crazy stuff. But I don't know. It's the rabbi hole goes deep, because like the whole religion is based on one person, right? And obviously I've been getting into this debate about, like, there's obviously a lot of power in the name of Jesus, right? But is his name even Jesus? Because, like, if we get technical, which I think we should get technical, because in the Bible he's very technical. He says my name. You know what I'm saying? So that excludes any fucking like jabroni marks that comes up and like, oh, I know David. Okay, bro, like go to David's house then. You know what I mean? As far as that goes, I just feel like we talked about Revelation, we talked about the Antichrist. I feel like even Christianity is getting hijacked. You know what I mean? Because I just believe that it's like Jesus is more of an Americanized Mickey Mouse name. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know any Middle Eastern named Jesus, dude, like from any time, and unless there was like a Spanish colony in Jerusalem or something. I don't know any Jesus in fucking the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? Like, I heard it was Yeshua, and Yeshua translates into Joseph, and obviously,
or Joshua. Yes.
Joshua. My bad. My bad. And the whole argument is that, oh, later on it was translated into Jesus. You know what I mean? Okay, respect. How come there's still Joshua's then in the Bible? You know what I mean? If Yeshua translates into Zach, and we translated like Yeshua into Jarrell, why are there still Zachs around? You kind of,
why are you around, Zach?
You know, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The basis of this argument is, if a name's a name. A name is pretty much the instruction to form a phonetic sound, right? So, like, if a name is a password, like if I say open sesame, I don't need to translate that into Spanish, because the phonetic sound I need to make is open sesame. If my dog's name is Bentley, I don't call him like, "Arr." No, I say, come here, Bentley. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like the whole lore of Christianity of accepting Jesus has to be Jesus, when his name was really Yeshua. It's like we're just taking placebo pills almost. You know what I mean? You're not getting the secret sauce, I feel like, that like the scripture is saying. You know what I'm saying?
I sometimes wonder about that too, because I think in countries that are predominantly Muslim, I think their word for Jesus is Isa, I-S-A. And
Isn't there a Bible, Isa, too?
I don't know if that's I'm not sure if that's a name in the Bible besides, but what I understand is that the Christians in Arab nations tend to call Jesus Isa, if I remember correctly. And so I've always wondered, like, I've always wondered why that. I haven't done a lot of research as to why the word Jesus is used, but I definitely agree that there's a hijacking. That there's definitely something like that happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if not in the name, then in the traits or in the assumptions of the belief, or where the finger is pointing to, or what we're pointing to. Right? There's definitely some hijacking in that realm. Yeah.
Jesus. Despite all that, like, we came from the same, like, we were told the same story, and the same story is being told. And I just feel like, you know what I mean? It's a good gateway into these topics, because I feel like whether you like it or not, like, you're going to get into thinking these topics, whether it's like your last hours or, you know what I mean, when you cross over to the spiritual realm.
Right.
Like this excerpt of the newspaper is gonna have to be read. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Crazy. So Revelation, is it happening right now? What do you guys think that is? Like, do you think that fucking Jesus is gonna come back and then all hell's gonna break loose? And like there's gonna be some kind of like fucking like Lord of the Rings war for good and evil? Or what do you guys think is gonna go on?
They've been saying Revelations have been happening for decades. I'm still waiting. We'll see.
You know what's interesting? I talked to Pastor Vince about like end times, and he says like, bro, like even when the Vietnam War was happening, they were talking about like this is it for sure.
If there's anybody that seemed like an antichrist, maybe Hitler. You know what I'm saying? Because literally, like opposing God's people. If there's anybody that was like gonna be the antichrist historically, it would have probably been him. But we're still here. Jesus hasn't come back yet, so it's hard to say. I mean, I guess it goes into like, you know, when we talk about the idea of revelation, I think it's interesting because it's almost like that idea of revelation and the end times is like embedded into the way our culture thinks, even if they're not Christian somehow. Yeah, like. Right. Atheists have like the heat death of the universe, you know what I'm saying? Or like the technocrats have the, what's the word? The singularity, whether it's good or bad, right?
Oh,
so I feel like, I don't know why, we always kind of have this arbitrary like future reckoning point we're all afraid of somehow, you know? Different subcultures have different versions of it, right? Like everyone's going to be judged or we're going to find out exactly what everybody was made of sort of moment, right?
I mean, I think I do agree that when people say this is biblical, not all of them even really know what the fuck they're talking about. They just kind of like dropping in with the word of the day. But I know for sure me, like when I was in 4th grade, that was like one of the first books I read right after Job. And bro, and this is all gonna tie in. I'm learning a lot about myself, why I'm so intense. You know what I'm saying? When I was young, I wanted to watch movies about fish and like dolphins. Guess what movie my mom put on? She put on Jaws.
Oh, dang.
All right.
Jaws is a fish.
Yeah, but I mean, like I was maybe when I was like
very big fish.
When I was 3 or 4, I was exposed to those violent scenes in the dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? So I was afraid of going in the water already. Now my dad would be like, "Hey, now check this movie out, Terminator 2, baby."
They're all good movies, though.
All great movies, but as a like 3-4-year-old, a little too much for my stimulation. Because I just recently watched Terminator 2, and that is a fucking crazy ass movie. Did you guys hear the theory that Terminator is a prequel to The Matrix?
No.
Look into it, bro. Look into it.
Terminator 1 is the prequel?
Terminator, the whole Terminator line,
even including like Genesis and all of that shit.
Yeah, I think so, because it talks about before the world ended up becoming full. You know what I mean? Cybertronic.
Cyberdad was it? Yeah, it was called like
Cyberdad. But anyways, like that was kind of my mentality. You know what I mean? Like fucking tripping out kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, like. Revelation intrigued me right away because there was dragons, there was demons, there was monsters with 5 heads and 10 horns and shit. I was like, damn, and this was Jesus' time to come back and bitch slap these fools. You know what I mean? Like, go back to hell. The ultimate fucking bitch slap. But like getting into it, it's like nobody wanted to cover it, and like now, kind of understanding it, it's a pretty abstract, crazy topic to cover. But now I feel like it's super relevant because a lot of the thing about conspiracy theories is sometimes they'll make a stretch and connect some dots, but sometimes they're pretty impressive stretches that connect. You know what I mean? I think one of the things that is trending right now, as far as the end times, is the Euphrates River is drying up. I think that was something everyone keeps saying, oh, it's biblical, right? And I think another one is like the temple getting rebuilt, Temple of Solomon getting rebuilt or something. They said if those two happen, for sure the Antichrist is back or already alive, right?
My kind of view on all of that is, I mean, Jesus even said nobody knows the day or the time. Even him, actually.
Like a thief in the night.
Yeah, so it's really interesting. Even Jesus doesn't know when Jesus is going to come back. Like the Father knows when Jesus is going to come back, but Jesus doesn't know. He leaves that up to his Father. And so while we can't try to predict it, I think an interesting trend that I notice is all of these like beast Antichrist type figures, they kind of control the world economy, right? That's like the trend of all these like Illuminati conspiracy theories, right?
Right.
Is it's the one world government idea. If you think about, like, I think probably the believers back then thought it was Rome. Now, Rome failed because they didn't have the technology to sustain such a big empire. Like, one of the things you read about is the roads, the infrastructure, just the technology wasn't there to sustain a global government, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the interesting thing is, like, if you think about the trail of history from the Roman Empire and the Greco-Roman, you got the British Empire, which is very much like that kind of philosophical tradition, and then you get America, right, which is very much that same genealogy. And I think what you do see throughout history, what has changed since then, I think, is we are capable of so much more now. Like, if somebody wanted to do a one world government, now they actually could, right? Yeah, I'm not saying that they're going to and then soon, but we can do it now. Like Tower of Babel was like, we're going to confuse the languages. There's going to be disunity. And then now humans are able to kind of cooperate globally. So well, I'm not going to try and say when it's going to happen. We are definitely on the trend to one day it being able to happen. Like, if you wanted to brainwash the world, the easiest person that could do that is whoever controls all of Disney's content, if you think about it. Like, I'm not saying they are, maybe they are, but what I'm saying is, like, all of entertainment has all the food companies, all the entertainment companies, they're conglomerates now, right? They're like all kind of acquired with each other. And so I think the general trend of power kind of growing, we're definitely at a time when global government domination is possible more than ever, right? I'm not trying to say who's going to do it, but what I'm saying is it's more and more, we're trending that way in terms of power and economics, right?
That's actually the perfect segue, because I initially thought, looking, you know what I mean? Like, looking into the Revelation, literally, I thought these 5-headed, 6-headed beings were chimeras, right? Because they were, right? I think they were mentioned as chimeras.
Physical description, yeah.
And, like, I'm going to play this clip just to build that they might actually be real. There's human pig embryos, which is fucking chimera.
How our cells grow and interact inside an animal. This pig, the first known chimera.
The ultimate goal for this type of research is to whether we can use this technology.
This was in China, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
Give us
it's China.
Insight.
Right now, scientists are nowhere near that goal, but recent studies have shown how that process can work using gene editing. Scientists would delete a specific piece of an animal's DNA, so its embryo wouldn't be able to grow a heart, for example. Then they'd inject that embryo with human stem cells, which move to the void and grow a human heart. The embryo would then be put back inside the animal to develop.
The possibility of growing human cells and tissues inside animals is an exciting first step for the dream of generating tissues, and organs for transplantation into humans. We're still far away.
To date, everything the researchers have done is legal.
Now,
Is legal.
why
Hey, it's legal.
maybe
Technically.
there's Luciferians, they're trying to like really summon physical demons like that. Because obviously those are man-made now, man-made creatures, you know what I mean? You can argue that they're not made from the divine spark that we talked about. So, you know, that all gets tied into witchcraft and stuff. But after you just mentioned what you said, and going back to what we talked about earlier about it's a monopoly of information, right? Like, I like how you say science tries to monopolize the truth sometimes. Right now, as much as people rely on this and as much as we're smarter with these, it's also a handicap because we refer to these things for information. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I go 2 + 2 on the calculator here and it says 6, like, it must be 6, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Is the Mandela effect or something? Like, you know what I'm saying? It's going to
like
be
a Black Mirror episode, man.
It's going to be that conversation.
Yeah, well, it's like if we think about a lot of, even when it comes to like AI, the interesting thing is try to test sometimes what an AI will say and what it won't say. And it's really interesting how the bias of an AI is formed, because it's formed either A, from the people who created it and what they think is right and the rules that they built into the AI, or B, it's basically just a summary of all of the biases of the information it was fed. Because it's fed ultimately with information that was human generated, right? And so all that is biased. And so we're about to treat AI like an oracle, but all technology, it doesn't necessarily make you more free, right? Like more information doesn't make you more free. It's who's in control of the information and who owns the phone that is in your hand, right? Who owns that that flow, that stream of information. And yeah, I do think that dependence on technology at a certain point doesn't make us more free. It makes us easily controlled, maybe you could say, right?
Of course, yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense for me. But it's just there's so many different points of views you can have on this, which is the most interesting thing about it. Everyone can have different perspectives, and they can all make sense for anyone. And I think that's why it's so crazy to have such a wide range of beliefs. But just touching onto like believing in one thing is kind of a bad thing in my opinion. Like, let's just say, and that's why it's kind of hard for me to stick to one religion, like Christianity. Like, I grew up Catholic, you know, but I've leaned more towards just being
too, actually.
agnostic. Yeah, you know, and you know, yeah, you know, but agnosticism has been something that's because I it's not to throw shade at religion. It's just more of like, you know, there's so much out there, but when you look at it, all these religions are kind of the same. It's just different names and kind of little differences, but it's almost the same concept in every religion. Like, but if I'm wrong, you guys could go ahead and chime in. I just think that there's a lot of similarities for us to be stuck and binded to one thing.
So that might be a cool question where in your experience or in others' experience, what are the commonalities that we kind of see? That goes back to the moon thing, I guess, right? Like what is the thing that they're all pointing to? And then also, like, how would we determine if, because we know, for example, that some of these religious groups are cults or they're kind of controlling people. So I suppose maybe a second question might be, how do we evaluate these religious voices or belief systems, right? How do we know if they're kind of fooling us? How do we know if they're telling the truth? What's similar, what's different, right? So I'm curious, like, because I mean, all of us, even if like I am Christian, but I'll admit a lot of my beliefs are probably formed by other religions and beliefs and philosophies. I think we're inevitably all to a degree agnostic, right? We're all formed by our background. But like, yeah, what do you guys think? What what's kind of the compass for you guys in terms of evaluating belief systems or things like that?
It feels like I kind of alluded to it earlier with the pointing at the moon, concept. The moon is such a big entity, and as a whole, it's like that higher power, that guiding light in the darkness, for example. And depending on where you are at, like everyone can see the moon at some point in the day, right? Every night when the sun sets, the moon comes up, right? And I guess the sun, but like no one really looks at the sun because you go blind. But with the moon, it's like that's that guiding light in time of darkness, and every religion kind of has that higher power, and that's where the kind of metaphor of the moon comes in. It's like it's so far away, but everybody can see it, and we may not ever be able to go there, but it's always there. And so that's where the finger pointer is just like, it's just based on where you're at, you're going to have a different pointer. You're going to have someone different that's pointing at that. And that represents the different religions, at least from the way I'm interpreting, the pointing at the moon. So like the concept of like the commonality is it feels like every religion that I've like asked about or whatever, they all have that common higher power that people are looking up to for guidance and for wisdom and knowledge, and for relief and just a sense of having some spirituality in our lives, and that's like the big. And then there's rules and stuff that every religion has too, obviously, commandments and whatever other religions have. But so there's the commonality, and like you have to follow rules, you have to act a certain way or carry yourself a certain way to be able to reach the ultimate goal, which is, prosperous afterlife. I feel like that's
right.
That's another commonality, but like the hard part with grasping religion for me has always been like, which finger pointer is the right one, and that's where I've talked on the pod about, my not struggle, but like my kind of, journey with talking about and experiencing and going through like, different religious conversations is it's hard for my mind personally to be like, okay, well, which one's right? If there's only one that's supposed to be the truth, which one is the truth?
If any, I know I got kicked out, but if anything makes you feel better, Jesus didn't start really being Jesus until he was 30, and he died at 33. So
well, I just turned 33, so damn.
It's time for you to go, man.
I'm out of here. Yeah.
What is that?
That's where my name came from, is Zechariah.
What percentage of his life is that? Like, you know what I mean? 3 years out of 33. That's
10%. 11%.
I think it's a little less.
33.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the math right now.
Actually,
but
I'm supposed to be good at math.
Not enough. Let's just say it that way.
Yeah.
But no, as far as the finger pointing goes, I just feel like, I feel like the person, I'd rather figure out what the moon is with a person who's trying to figure it out with me than a person who's trying to be like, I told you the moon would do that.
Yeah. So would you say that a big part of how we distinguish the finger pointers from each other is like their character? Or would it be like, because, for example, I mean, practically speaking, why do a lot of people leave religions?
Okay.
Oh, well, the pastor was a freaking hypocrite, right?
Yeah,
almost always.
A lot about those pastors.
And it's like clearly, if that would cause somebody to leave the religion, what it shows is, to a degree, it's not just the belief itself, but it's the character of the person saying the belief.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost like the effectiveness of the messenger. Like how effective is that person that's reaching someone who's searching for spirituality? Like almost like how convincing can they be?
Right. And I think go ahead.
I think for me, like I said, I mentioned this in the last podcast, being in the conspiracy community, Dog, it's annoying sometimes because it's like everything that comes out, like we're still trying to figure out what it is, but you have 8 million theories of what it is already. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, this is it, this is that, this is that. Like some of it makes sense, but it's like, dude, like we don't even know what it is. You're turning to what you hate right now. You know what I'm saying?
So I think that's the danger. Is I think inevitably, if I say I'm no longer going to listen to the people pointing at the moon and I'm just going to look at the moon myself, I can also become a stupid finger pointer.
No,
Yes.
that's not the thing though. The thing is like,
Right.
even though they're annoying, you can hear them and you're like, okay, I have a hard time explaining this, but you almost have to have a filter of knowing that you're not going to agree to this person, whatever this person's going to sell you, but you could hear them out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like even that, like there's a reason that conspiracy theorist is on my feed because I heard some shit that he said that resonated with me. Now 80% of his content might be fucking annoying, like misinformation, but you know what I mean? I still follow him because there's that 10%. So I think it's almost having almost like a filtration in for information that's coming in,
Or
to
even
where it's
realistic
not-
expectations. Yeah.
to where it's not so dependent on like the messenger. You know what I'm saying? Because I do believe you can learn from any teacher if you're a good student. Even even the fucking sleazeball
good.
pastor can teach you something about humans. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
even pastors can be sleazeballs. You know what I mean?
The way that I've heard that phrased is there's a difference between learning from someone's teaching and then learning from being around a bad teacher. I think you can learn a lot. And so it's something I like to ask people because I've had crappy church experiences too. And the question that I always have to ask myself is, what am I learning from that crappy experience? It's like, okay, well, why is my reaction so negative? You know, like where did my expectation of this guy come from? Or what was he betraying in the first place that made me feel like he was a hypocrite?
Mhm.
And so my hope for a lot of people is like, I think there's a lot of skepticism about a lot of things, but like you said, I think it's like with the right posture and attitude, we can learn from crappy finger pointers. We can learn from these crappy teachers. Not necessarily believe everything they say, but why is it that I'm resisting them, or why does it bother me so much? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm learning now that when you're feeling even when you hate something, it's a reflection of you. Whether it reminds you of your old self, you know what I mean. Whether you're annoyed of someone's certain trait, you know what I mean. That it's usually a reflection of you. You know what I mean.
Right.
So it's funny that even the negative things are a reflection of you. When obviously we only like to highlight the positive stuff. But I did get cut off when we were talking about AI. Funny enough, sus ass. Let me make my point, right? Let me make my point.
Coincidence.
So I talked about, maybe the beasts are the AIs, you know what I mean, and computers. I mean, 6 heads sounds like a fucking supercomputer. 10 horns sounds like antennas, right? I mean, if we're looking at this as a metaphorical type of thing, you know what I mean? And what's interesting is we talked about, and I'm going to tie this all in, we talked about the monopolization of facts and science and even the finger pointers. We're living in a world now where it doesn't matter about the finger pointers because you could just look at your fucking phone and it'll tell you what the moon is. You know what I mean?
And
you
I
don't
think
you don't need to worry about finger pointer because you have an app that will tell you what the moon is. You know what I mean? So now your information doesn't depend on the messenger because you have a tool that was manifested by a bunch of occult, you know what I mean, intentions.
Correct. Yeah. So the way you might
that's controlling now your mental algorithm. You know what I mean? Your divination.
The way that you might also word that same thing is we've kind of divorced truth from character. Right. I think there was a time where truth tellers, you would watch their character and see if they walked the talk before you believed anything they said. But now, like all these companies, because there's no personal element to them, we can't hold them accountable. I mean, these are the guys that are determining what shows up in our newsfeed also, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think to a degree, when we divorce truth from character, we run into a lot of problems. like you're saying, we think that the AI or the news feed is objective, but there are people controlling what the AI will say and won't say, or what the news will give you and won't give you. So it's like, I think the easiest way I've come to word it is most people nowadays, we have a choice between being misinformed and being uninformed. And I think to really be informed takes a lot of digging and a lot of like critical thinking. And it's either we don't want to do that or we're not set up to do that. We weren't taught, something like that. But I think divorcing truth from character has been kind of a problem, like what you're saying with the phone and all that stuff.
I think divorcing truth from character has been going on for a long time, because it also brings back the pop star and the music thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really your song. You know what I mean? Like, we could have had Ariana Grande sing that, but we gave it to you. You know what I mean? We could have had Jaden Smith sing it, but we gave it to you, type of thing.
Correct.
So I just feel like it goes back to what I was saying, and I'm going to drive it home with this one. This could be my rabbit hole segment of the night. I go back to talking about egregores. Why this is crazy is because I heard that statues, they were initially invented so that you could kind of like cast like your God spirit into that statue, and that statue will kind of be, you know what I mean, almost a vessel for your God to be in this realm for.
It's like an idol, yeah, kind of,
yeah, like
sort
an
of
idol,
vibe, right? Sort of vibe, yeah.
So that's been going on since the fucking Greek, like Zeus days, right? Temples of Zeus and shit, right? Now, I brought this up on a podcast a while back, but I talked about the brazen head, right? The brazen head is something that Francis Bacon invented, and he made like this anatomically accurate, like robotic head, and he mixed in witchcraft, and he like summoned a devil spirit in order to go into the head, right? And the head eventually got possessed by the spirit, and what he was trying to accomplish from this is he wanted to kind of like a psychic, and he wanted to bypass shamans and like different oracles in order to kind of, you know, get their fortune told or whatever. So he wanted his own kind of fortune telling machine, psychic machine, by just casting the devil into this machine, almost like ChatGPT kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I mean, functionally, it's the same idea, right?
Yeah. Now, let's talk about computers and like, you know what I just found out? CERN. I always look at CERN as sus because I feel like CERN messes with like the fabric of the universe. You know what I mean?
The particle accelerator.
Yeah, the particle accelerator. Like, whether we're like opening up for demons to come in, or like angels are getting ripped out from, you know what I mean? Because we're messing with things that we don't know we're messing with. But something famous that gets linked into the CERN machine is the Mandela effect, right? And the Mandela effect is when information all of a sudden changes from what the collective knew, right? Like Berenstain Bears. Nico, tell me this. Spell Onyx, the Pokemon. How do you spell his name?
ONIX, I think.
It is ONIX. I thought it was ONYX this whole
It is ONYX.
I almost said Y. I almost said Y.
I almost said X, dog.
You're tripping.
Zach, you knew that? You knew that, Zach?
Well,
Google
I'm reading it from my visualization of when I was playing Pokemon Red, dude. It's ONYX.
Yeah, but see, this is a thing that other people have talked about, the fruit of the loom having the cornucopia on it.
Cornucopia, yeah.
The Monopoly man not having a monocle.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Where that motherfucker.
I remember him having a monocle. I remember him having a monocle. Yeah.
Look it up.
Think of the peanut guy.
I just found out that the internet, the World Wide Web, was accidentally invented at CERN in order to like keep track of data and keep track of and like communicate within. You know what I mean?
Oh wow.
Yeah, I thought the internet was invented by the military, but apparently CERN was accidentally invented it. And now the internet is the gatekeeper of information. You know what I mean? Now we go back to fuck the messenger, where maybe there is an ancient man who knew generations and generations of tales and read, you know what I mean? Like scribes of fucking, like slabs of stone that told you about the moon. Now his shit doesn't matter. Oh, wow.
Oh, there is a
Pokemon.
Where'd you get that, bro? Where'd you get that?
Apparently there's a whole argument over Reddit, and people are like, dude, in the old Pokemon games on the Game Boy, red, blue, and yellow, it was ONYX.
YX.
That's what I'm trying to tell people, but look at this.
That's whack.
No, that's not real.
They changed it on us.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to tell you. Now you don't even trust your memory because you trust the internet. You know what I mean? The devil is very deceiving. So, hey, since we're here, let's look at the Monopoly, man. Monopoly.
I think people get the Monopoly guy with the Peanuts guy confused. Because that Peanuts guy
I know
definitely
that
has a monocle.
Yeah, see, look at that monocle.
I remember him with the monocle.
I don't think I remember him with the monocle.
Remember in Ace Ventura 2, he's like, "You must be the
Monopoly guy."
Yeah, we always bring that up. We always bring that up. Yeah, so I mean, I just feel like, you know, now we talk about the Antichrist, right, Nico? Before the internet, books, the Bible. Now, I have the Bible on my phone. How do you know they're not changing translations in certain words in order to bastardize the message as a whole? You know what's surprising to me? Artists update their songs sometimes.
Pokemon card. Oh, so I know.
I was looking for my Pokemon card. That would have been the most concrete proof.
Yeah. Why? Maybe it was. I wonder if it's like two people in the North American Pokemon team translated the Japanese weirdly. I wonder maybe it's. Maybe I don't know,
but it blew my mind that even artists like update their songs. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, Kanye.
You know what Kanye West used to do, where he'd just be like, "Nah, I like this version," and he'll just update the song.
Yeah. Well, Life of Pablo changed so many times, like while I was listening.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They do that with albums still right now. I'd be listening to songs like, oh, they changed that. You know what I mean? And you don't really know that. But like, who's to say they're not doing that with important documents? Like we talked about in the last podcast, the Epstein list could have been changed too to be weaponized now.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, well, it's something that you kind of realize. The medium is the message, is what a lot of people will say with regards to that. Like a lot of people think it's just the information, but it's the medium. It's how the information is communicated does a lot to the information. So it's like how, for example, if you think about a world before written language, there would be no way to edit your own words if you think about it, right? Because if I can't write my words, I can't remember them and I can't edit them, right? Like I can't like go back to page 42 out of 58 and like change a word or two without, if in a world before written writing. And so it's like how the ability to put my thoughts on paper changed the way that I think as a human being. Right. And you kind of go and you throughout history and it's like, okay, well, the book, how did the book change us in the sense that there's a ton of information, but the medium of the book, like I have to go sit down by myself, open the book and read it by myself, have my own thoughts. A guy had to write down his own. It was very like more of an individual experience than like, if you think about before the book, it was all oral tradition. Right. And so it changes the way that our brain works. Cause in a sense, you're kind of already a cyborg, not in the sense that I have a cybernetic limb, but my memory is backed up somewhere else. Right.
Yep.
So I get the sense that the phone, Nicholas Carr it's a book called The Shallows. And he talks about, the phone is now our our town square. It's our compass. It's our recipe book. It's our entertainment. It's our vinyl music player. It's kind of it's our calculator, right? And it's our truth teller. And so, yeah, to a degree, it's like it's healthy to kind of question our dependence on these things, right? And not that we can't use phones, but you have to be aware. You have to really be aware of where that information is coming from, and don't just take it for granted. Because, like you said, someone can change that very easily, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, like, when someone changes something that can, like, thou shalt not kill. Okay. Oops. Thou shalt kill. You know what I mean? Like that's the 10th commandment. Oops. Like, you can look at the computer as, oh man, that was just a malfunction. That's dangerous. That didn't even happen. Or you could look at it like, this motherfucker, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, knows what he's doing type thing. Because think about it. Like I said, like, the statue, the brazen head, a computer is just nothing up until we get back to the divine spark, right? And we talked about electricity on a previous podcast and how electricity kind of has some spiritual components, because when you die, a certain amount of voltage can bring you back to life. At the same time, a certain amount of voltage can kill you. At the same time, a certain amount of voltage is necessary to keep you alive. You know what I'm saying? So there's obviously a dosage of voltage, but you can't replicate like soul into something else. But when we are able to make like consciousness or like an algorithm, that's where things get scary. And I guess I'll wrap it up with this. Have you guys heard of dead internet theory? That's kind of what I was trying to allude to.
Yeah.
Dude, that's scary shit, bro. Like, that even makes me look at the conspiracy theories that I'm looking at, and I'm like, this shit's fucking fake too, bro. You know what I mean? This could just be like the AI just looks at it and is like, oh, they like this shit, so pump here. You know what I mean? Constructed in a way where it's written to where I got you hooked, and you're gonna keep going down this route.
Yeah, and see, what it shows is that I think the lie that we've believed over the past several hundred years is that the primary currency of the human race is information. If only I had more information or more power, I would be okay. Right? And now we have the most power and information. Like, the average poor person eats like a king, right? Like, we fought wars over pepper, you know, hundreds of years ago. And now it's just like pepper. It's like, whatever.
You know, sometimes I look at people and like, bro, we used to have to hunt.
Yeah.
Over here eating like a fucking extra large bowl with your large Coke. I know you can't catch a chicken. You know,
can you imagine trying to make ice cream in the woods? Like, how would you even start to get it cold enough? Like, we have a lot of power, but if you think about really what's make that dead internet theory and all this misinformation stuff everyone deals with, we don't lack information. We don't lack power. What we lack is trust. Mm-hmm. And so basically trust in character. And so it goes back to that character truth thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think we've gotten cocky as a human race, and we think that trustworthiness and character be damned. It's all about the results that I get. And we see that now. We're like, you know, corporations are too big to fail, right? Mm-hmm. We excuse celebrities if they're part of our tribe. Too big to fail, right? And I think the issue is without kind of that fabric of trust, the internet doesn't work. Like, you hear stories, for example, the early days of the internet, where imagine like eBay is a new service that you'd never heard of before. How are you going to send the guy money and trust he's going to send you stuff? Mm-hmm. Like, the only way that level of communication could have started is if there was some level of trust that this human being won't F me over. It won't screw me over. Mm-hmm. And the currency really is trust, I think. And I think as we've kind of diminished trust, all of our technology becomes less useful. It just becomes a way to manipulate the other person. Right? Yeah.
Well, it doesn't help that they have telemarketers and scammers fucking everywhere, dog.
And they're all kind of informed. If you think about it, all of these telemarketers and people that build the algorithms are the same psychologists that design gambling machines, right? These are the guys that use psychology to get you to do things for them. So I think we're really in a deficit of trust, not a deficit of money or power or information. You can have all the information in the world, but like, how do we know who the finger pointer is? How do we know? I think it's a trust issue rather than a I don't have enough issue, even though that would help, obviously, right? But I think trust is the primary thing where we lack as a, and it's why I think we're seeing this happen.
Goes back to faith, I guess, right?
Yeah, because the word faith is the same word as trust, right?
Gotta have faith.
Gotta have faith.
Faith.
I'm gonna have that as an outro song.
What do you guys have the most faith in?
Myself.
Hey, that's blasphemous, dude.
Triple H's booking of WWE. A lot of faith in it.
He's booking WWE?
Yeah, man. We'll save that for wrestling episode.
Yeah, we need to get one started
I
soon.
know we're gonna do that.
I have faith that everything's fake and gay.
That is something we can all agree on.
Dude, just because like, as much as funny as that is, it's not when you talk about dead internet theory. You know what I'm saying? Like, it very well possibly could be, you know what I mean? And it goes back to the thing of, like you said, information overload. Like, there's obviously not a problem of getting information. It's a matter of trust. And at the end of the day, like Andrew said, have faith in yourself, trust yourself. You're gonna have to take care of yourself. You know what I mean? So, like, I told my wife this, like, when I was really deep into researching the homunculus, like, I wasn't having fun, you know what I mean? And she could see it in my eyes, and she's like, why? I was like, I don't want to die researching the homunculus. It's almost like this journey that I took on already, and I just want to see it through to the end, you know what I mean? But, like, at the end of the day, it's like free will, you know what I mean? You can, we talked about the moon. You have free will to be like, cool, dog, I don't give a fuck about the moon. Like, I want to go play basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's where it is. And you can create, you know what I mean? And that's where I feel like it's very important to have an inner dialogue, whether that's with your inner voice or a God, because that's you nurturing your relationship with the divine spark that you have within yourself.
Oh yeah, and other people. I mean, I think it's why a lot of religions, but I think Christianity especially, community is essential to the pursuit of truth because it's the accountability, right? It's the idea that, okay, well, you're pointing this way, let's talk about this. Are you being honest? Why did you think the moon was that way? Why do you think it's this way? I think referencing the divine spark with against other people is really, really crucial, because otherwise we become just another one of those a source of misinformation to manipulate other people, right? The only time like we're not trying to manipulate, I know I'm not trying to manipulate somebody, is if I love somebody, right? Because it's for their good, that why I'm doing it. So relationship, right. I think that's where trust is ultimately built, and your everyday routine, I think, is really where trust is built. I think, because otherwise it's like, I don't know what CNN wants me to believe. I don't know what Fox News wants me to believe, but I know the trash needs to be taken out. I know I need to ask my wife for forgiveness and forgive her. I know I need to be responsible,
Right.
And that at the end of the day, like, all of these online narratives are one thing, but I'm the same way where I get caught up in like theology, I get caught up in all this stuff, but it's like ultimately relationships that grounds us, I think. And I think a big measure of if a truth teller or a finger pointer is legit is you evaluate their relationships. Are they scamming people? Are they really serving people? You'll know, I think, if they're at least honestly trying to point, you know?
Yeah. You know what CNN and Fox want you to believe? That Onyx is ONIX.
Psyop, bro.
Pokemon psyop.
Well, shit, 2 hours. Nico, where can we find you outside the cave, man? Let's wrap it up.
I post the most on Instagram at Nico Miguel Guitar, NICOMIGUEL Guitar. I just recently jumped on TikTok, like all the youngins do. So I'm on there now. I've got a YouTube channel as well, same handle. So yeah, that's mostly where I am.
Are you gonna be doing some dances? You gotta do some dances, dude.
Some dances.
Some TikTok dances. Look at that.
I'm clipping that. I'm clipping that, bro.
Going viral.
That's a good animated GIF right now.
Yeah.
That's a good GIF.
GIF. The GIF or GIF?
Peanut butter?
Onyx or Onyx, dude.
Your TikTok video should be about what's Onyx. ONIX.
Yeah. Right. See, I've been thinking about this recently because I have like an old deck of Pokemon cards that I'm fairly certain are pretty valuable now.
Me too.
You know, I have to go find them though. I know I didn't throw them away. They're in some drawer somewhere. I need to find them. But
yeah, I've been meaning to take mine to. There's this place in Stanton.
Yeah,
I forget what it's called, but they get your cards graded.
Go to Orange. It's closer. I can take you there.
Oh yeah, let's go tomorrow.
We can.
All right.
There's a card shop that I know that will submit those for you to PSA.
Yeah, that's the shop.
Yeah.
Orange,
Hey, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with this. If you can have one fucking Pokemon, let's say tomorrow.
This is the most important.
Real life or Pokemon card?
No, like let's say you had a Pokemon card, and then when you slept the next morning, it became real. Which one would you sleep with?
Nico,
Jesus.
It can't be a legendary though. It can't be no legendary.
Okay.
Sorry, what's a legendary? I'm
like a Mewtwo,
like Moltres,
Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno.
Yeah, Entei.
Damn.
You know what? Let's be cool too. None of the basic starters, so no Charmander.
Okay, you can get like a fully evolved one already. Is what you're saying?
Nah.
No, like base.
Base, yeah, base.
Okay.
Oh fuck. Give me a Ditto, bro. It can be anything.
Ass.
It can be anything, dog.
Yeah. That's like I'm gonna wish for more wishes right there.
Yeah.
It could be anything, but it's always got those creepy eyes on them.
That's fine.
You know what? Give me a Growlithe.
It's not
It's
bad.
tight. My other thought was a Lapras.
Ooh.
In the ocean.
Or a Magikarp, because you know what comes after a Magikarp? Gyarados.
Yeah, you gotta train that shit, dude. That's tough. Snorlax would be dope too. You just have this big ass Pokemon in your house.
That's case by case basis, though.
I guess it just depends. Yeah, no, give me Ditto, bro.
Growlithe.
I'll go last. Mine's funny.
I'll do I'd go for a Dragonite probably.
Nice.
I don't think that's a legendary. Yeah.
It's borderline though, but yeah,
It's borderline. Yeah.
That's why I didn't pick Dragon. I was like,
yeah, it's fully evolved. It's all good.
Yeah. Because it's powerful, but it's also cute.
Yeah. What you, Andrew?
Oh man, I only know Charizard. That's all Pokemon I know.
You know what's dope? Ditto can be all those things.
Yo, I pick Jinx. She a baddie.
Oh,
I thought you're actually gonna say Diglett, bro.
Jinx
No lie.
Minaj. Look like
Else though.
looking like
Drew's
Cardi
about to say
B and
Diglett.